of the Global Wellness Revival 3.0. Of course, with this one, we are building your ark of wellness. Day one yesterday with Reverend Tony and Dr. Taiwo was incredible. I mean, hearing veteran voices from the front lines who have seen a lot, and now they're screaming, save the generations, not even just children. And they've taught us to build an ark of wellness. And today, day two, we are coming for the men. We're like, bro, build with her too. And we're going to be talking to two amazing men who are not just leaving it for the women, because many people do. Women are the ones in all those WhatsApp groups. They're the ones that are meal prepping. They're the ones that are shopping. They're the ones that are doing nutrition challenges. But now we have to bring the men, because when families build together, because when couples build together, families survive the flood. Like, you know, there's a global health crisis, and we want you to build an ark so that when the rain comes, you will be safe. So we're going to be talking to two men who are building too, who are also screaming, build your ark of wellness. We're talking to my husband, Bolaji Oloje, who, you know, has kind of watched me build for the family and just really supported me, because we want the men to also support. And I'll be talking to Raymond, who has such a passion and a call from God to truly bring men alongside this journey. So strap in, get ready for another phenomenal time as we dive deeper into day two, building your ark of wellness. So bro, build with her too. And there are men who come alongside the women, the people, to build together. So we have two amazing guests. We have Bolaji Oloje and Raymond Okwara. And they're going to be telling men. They're not speaking to me, men. Do your ear like this. Because when they start talking about feed farm, people will just push it to the women. But no, remember what I said. When men and women build together, families survive the flood. So, Raymond.
Hi,
I'm not even sure how we want to start, but thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Because I didn't read a profile, you know, like that long profile. Now tell the people about yourself.
So where do we start from? First of all, okay, I am the firstborn of 5 children, 4 boys and a girl.
Oh wow!
So you know it's an army setting, it's a military barracks. All right, I enjoyed my childhood. I enjoyed it totally because it was very playful. So it was not what you were expecting. I enjoyed it. We're free. We were given anything to eat. We enjoyed the childhood. It came from a humble background. So it was very humble. I maximized humility. When I mean humility, you understand, we played the rural, enjoyed everything. But then one of the things I noticed was that I was very imaginative. I was the thinker boy. Yeah. I was very imaginative. I was very creative. It helped a lot, you know, in my growing up to even become what I am now.
Yes.
Arts, performing arts, visual arts. All right. My parents ensured that I walked the path. All right. And then it helped me to become all what has made me to become. So I enjoyed my.
Do you have any food stories from childhood?
Just
tell us one.
Just one. So I was the picky eater. Yes. I loved play more than food.
Okay.
Yeah, so I am that child that my brothers and sister would eat his food because he came late for lunch.
I love it.
All right, so my mom would always hide my food. So when I came up, like, what like we're trying to, don't worry, get it ready. Okay. Otherwise,
you would have finished your food.
Yes.
Okay. I love that. I love that we already talked about mommy cooking. Recently, Raymond, we were talking and you told me of this powerful concept, death in the pot. And yes, it's right out of scripture, you know, when the servants and the prophet, they had cooked and then the stew was just affecting everybody. And they're like, man of God, there's death in the pot. But we see today that in a lot of homes, there's death in the pot, literally from what we're eating. So tell me a bit more about that. What are you learning about cooking? Because it's not every time we hear about pots and men.
Yeah, right.
Like
Yeah,
what
right. Yeah,
men?
right. It's not
So
very.
yes, so tell me a bit more about that. And
Okay.
talk to men. Don't even talk to me. Talk to the men. Yes.
So this is it. There are three concepts that I thought. Anytime I looked at that story, there are three concepts that came to mind, and I'll just break down the concept and maybe because they talked to me, they appealed to me, my senses, and how this some things can play out in society, especially in our society. And so the first concept was the concept of famine in the land. That whole story happened because first there was famine in the land. So I noticed that it is possible that when there is a health crisis in a nation, in a society, in an economy, watch out. All right. There is a possibility that there is nonchalancy with what we put in our mouth. Yeah. So whenever you are in a system, whenever you're in a society, whenever you're in a season where there is famine, supposedly, there is that nonchalance, there is that ignorance playing out in diets, in food, in how we'll take the things we drink, the things we consume. Even in the elitist home, so people, you see, how many times have NAFDAC curbed I don't know how many times have NAFDAC curbed people that sell make wrong. That's I can't count the number of times. Every time I watch it, it gets to me. Or some guys that wash fruits with dirty water. Just this is because people are trying to cut corners to ensure food availability in the society. So first thing that came to my mind is famine. Whenever there is famine in the land, be careful. You need to up your ante. You need to build more walls. You need to be more careful. All right, with your friend.
So if I hear you correctly, you're saying that in times where there's a scarcity of anything, people typically just choose anyhow. So it means we must be more careful.
Definitely.
So we're not just saying it's not here. We're saying there are choices around us, but be more careful, be more intentional in your choices.
Definitely.
And that's for men, women, children, families.
Everybody, even the men, because you're the one that, so to say, supply, even in trusting families where both the men and everybody provides, so to say, you can have that mindset or that mindedness that because I'm one that supplies, I can dictate, where we get what is gotten, all right, and then you end up, interfering with the process of proper dieting in a family. I want to talk about that later on, but I just want to talk about the second concept. So the first concept was
famine.
There was famine. Second was ignorance. The person that went to get the shrubs didn't know. He said he didn't know. He didn't know. He just picked anything. Yes. Ignorance. He just picked anything. And so how often does that play? And I hear you talk about it severally. Men, we need to come into the know of what our people consume. Whether children.
Let's just put a microphone on that. Because a lot of times it's the women that are getting the knowledge.
Definitely.
But you're saying men.
Oh, we need to
yourselves
know. We need to know.
We have to create WhatsApp group for men. Because all this WhatsApp group is for women. We have to create it. Yes. We need, and that's a very powerful concept. Yeah. Because men are very logical. When they know.
Straight up.
They'll do better.
Yes. That's what you just said now is true because it's I noticed that when the men are in the know, there is more enforcement.
Yes.
We're
not buying this.
Kitchen, we're not buying that. Take that off. No bread, no this. Yes. I don't want to call him names right now. But,
bread.
Can we eat correct rice? Can we eat this? Can we reduce the intake of this? He is not every time, but when it comes, you want to please the man. You want to bring the food. He says, why are we doing this? Because he knows. But if a man doesn't know, regardless of the intent, all he wants to see is just there is food. Have they eaten? Have they eaten? We're fine. All right, move on. But when the man knows, he's able to control. I think there is a level of enforcement that happens in a home, especially with good dieting, when the man is in the know.
When the man is in the know, there's a level of enforcement that happens in the home when the man is in the know. Let me talk to wives for a minute. You actually have to educate your man. So he might not exactly be looking for like you. So you now look for and carry it. and show him. Just be forwarding messages to him so that he can see it. No, honestly.
You're right.
So what's the third?
The
There's
third is,
ignorance.
yes, discovery and redieting. When they discovered, oh, there is death in the pot, they had to rediet. They took some flour, poured in, and then it brought healing.
Yes.
So I discovered that discovery first, redieting is the next, and then the third, it brings healing. If you don't follow, this three of them is in one, but if you don't follow this process,
you discover
when you discover that this is wrong,
yes,
this is the wrong diet, this particular element in this food we eat causes this and this and this. When you discover that, you rediet, you change the diet. You say, okay, moving forward, we don't eat this. Moving forward, our weekend is for this. Moving forward, Monday, Wednesday, you do the reschedule. Like what I did in my home, I had to contribute my voice in redesigning the schedule, the food, what do you call that? Food diets, reschedule everything. We ensured that what we eat weekends, the days I'm not around, the times I'm not around. I'm just, once I see the full schedule, Monday to Sunday, what we eat and all of that, I am okay. I'm like, okay, that potato, what kind of sweet potato number? I'm just in shock. But for some reason, my home is interesting. I am the market man.
Okay, that's good.
I didn't know that. I'm the market man. It was just, it just came from a season in my family where my wife couldn't focus on taking care of the son. For some strange reason, I just said, okay, I will do market. And I get into the market. If I get into the market now, I say it as a joke sometimes. If I get into the market, it'd be like, when I see the women that sell things, they're like, is it man? Okay, let's just slay him. Let's just
let's stop.
Wrong. You met the wrong person. Oh, wow. Because I understand the market's numbers.
Wow.
I understand everything. I understand the things that are right. I understand the kind of watermelon that is necessary. I understand the avocado, the ripe. I understand the sauce up. I understand when it's good to eat, when it's not good to eat, how long it takes. I understood these things over time. Wow. So I discovered that the third thing I took from that story is, first of all, when immediately you discover that this is wrong. The day I discovered the bromate element in bread, that evening.
Wow.
Yes. No, don't waste time. Rediet immediately. Rediet, change. You don't know what it has cost. You don't know how far, what you have taken already, what it has done. So rediet immediately. You would begin to see the healing, maybe even that week. I can't even mention how much I have seen a better outlook in my health, and how my there's this morning fever. When you wake up, you just feel certain things and certain joy, just unnecessary. So I'm like, I don't know, this thing doesn't look like I sleep sufficiently. I sleep sufficiently. So why do I always feel that? Trust me, when I redieted, I started personally. In fact, I started with a 1 week fruit fast. Myself, nobody was telling me, this is not my wife, this is not my child, this is not for anybody. I just said, let me do this.
Wow.
Let me do this. That week, by the third day, I just ran to my wife and said, I like how I feel.
Wow.
I like how I feel. I want to stay. I wish I can stay here for the next 1 month and just make this my life, but it's not necessarily possible because there's some other things you need to eat and all that. But by the 7 days, I was fine. I've learned that morning, take it soft. Afternoon, you can go strong, and then evening, take it light again. Just like the 3 stages of the airplane flight,
Yes.
What you call it, take off, cruising, landing. So as you're landing, your body is like that. You're landing, you have to soft pedal so that your liver is like, okay, we have to slow down as you sleep and wake up in the morning again.
Okay, you said so much, but there's something I want to pick out, which is the market thing. Yes, the market thing, because honestly, I have a lecturer who said the same thing. He said he's the one because he knows the good stuff.
I see that.
He knows the right kind of food to buy. So there's no need just saying it's the woman's job. Because he knows the right thing, he's the one that goes to the market. So you're telling us now that there's nothing wrong with the man going to the market.
Oh my, nothing wrong. It's okay. I don't want to sound like a stingy man, but it saves you cost, all right?
Okay.
Because it does. So as in for a long time, I'm saying yes in our family. My wife said, go, that's just go. So what I started doing is when I go and come back, she's like, no, not this one. I'm like, okay, the next time I'm gonna, so I took note of it. The next time I bring the high again. How far this tomato?
Wow.
Great. I took note of that, and then I go the next time. So it's after a while, it didn't take me 2-3 times. I can't make a mistake from that thing again. I learned it, but there are some things I was a master of. And once I just look at marketing, people are trying to call out, oh, God, they think they're just trying to call you, but no, because of my knowledge and research. And we are in the knowledge era.
We're in the knowledge era.
You can't say you don't know. It's not even possible. All right.
Yes.
So there are several portals from which you can just check what is for example, you just say, okay, how ripe should an avocado pear be before you take it? There are some things you just that little knowledge, that little knowledge of knowing when to eat a particular fruit or food. How long should I steam a green leaf? Before just little knowledge can change the effect it has on your body and your well-being.
So what I hear you say is that almost like there are different lines on this chain where a man can come in.
Obviously.
So not every man has the time to go to the market or even the desire.
I see that.
But how about just the knowledge of, okay, what is this called? How can we cook this? What kind of potato is this? Just knowing a little bit more can then influence. Because you don't just want to eat what is put on your plate. You can actually ask questions. So one thing that I...
You know what I noticed? Sorry to cut you in. Something, it just hit me, so I don't want to let it go. My intention, my desire to go the healthy way increased after a certain season of high expense in hospital. Now, let me tell you, I paid, it was a year, I paid crazy.
Was it for you? Or for
no, not for me, for every other person. That's the thing. Not for me. I was the sweet tooth at home. So I took everything. So any opportunity when I enter a medical space, I want to check my blood sugar, but there was nothing. Coincidentally, there was nothing for me. Maybe I walked out a lot. I did a lot of so maybe it burned stuff or something, or maybe it was waiting for me in the future.
That's what I was about to say.
Because I discovered. No, if we had time, I'll tell you the story. I discovered later on some issues that doctors would say, man, was this your lifestyle? I'd be like, oh yes. Oh yes. Afterwards.
Now I need to explain in case they didn't get it. So the doctors are checking you and they're like, they're seeing something that they were not seeing before.
Yes, that this
and you were the sweet tooth.
Well, yes,
until the Lord delivered you.
Oh yes, He did. But He delivered me in a very strong way because some money went down the drain. All right, taking care of my child, taking care of my wife, and a whole lot and all that. Though they were also more cautious, but I noticed that the food we ate, we were just conscious of eating good, eating nice, But then it's more than that. It's more than that. It's more than just eating sumptuous meals. When I go for wedding now, I'm almost like the disciplined guy.
Yes.
And I was like, Chief, it's like, yeah, but okay, just bring this. We're like, oh, okay, your eye fish.
No, tell otherwise, us, what is bring this? What are the things that, because if a man...
I look at the menu. So sometimes, yes. Okay. I look at the menu. And I am not, there are certain stews. So you can't decide far from just looking at the menu, the way the preparation had gone for that meal. So I look at it, I try to see some of the things that are in the, some of the things that are maybe salad. Just get me salad. If you have moi, just bring it.
Yes, moi.
Don't give me. I don't like things I'm not sure that the preparation. Some of those, especially things that I know that the kind of rice. If I have to eat with beans. I have to be with grains. How can you command that in a wedding? Are you the sponsor? Are you the sponsor of the wedding? Yeah. I can't ask for that. So I just say, okay, keep it simple. Bring things. Awkward almost sometimes my table is awkward, but hey, that I'm fine with this. And then more water. So we just fill it with water. When we leave here, we'll be fine. Normal, I don't eat so much in weddings. So when I come and I see the long list, bring this. For me, they have fish. Yeah, but usually they have fish these days.
Yes, they have fish.
And they have fish. So just bring fish instead. I'll be fine. So I just select randomly along with answer.
Please, I need to camp here for a bit. You're saying that because sometimes I feel like when we go for these free food events, we just want to eat. You know, like just eat.
Buffets and just bring it. We die
just
here.
wanna eat. So you're saying that we can actually grow to a point where we have this, because there's some men that probably have to be in these free food events a lot.
Without their wife being there. Oh, I do that
Yeah,
every time.
see. So
Every
it means
other time.
yes, you're always at events, and even if they don't give some of us food, they will not forget the MC.
What I said is I had to stop asking them to pack food for me.
Oh,
Coincidentally, as in intentionally. So usually I'm done, they bring bottle of wine, I say, MC, this is your. I had to say, okay. I just immediately I come early, I go to the person, I say, okay. If you want to pack my food, once we are done, let me know. Let me know. I'll come to you. I'll tell you what I would like to. I had to do that intentionally. Otherwise, I just take it, get home. Everybody, when I didn't know better.
When you didn't.
All right, now at this time, no, don't let us waste food.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so Raymond, now you're raising your son alone right now.
Mhm.
How are you shielding him? Because we know that it's an avalanche, it's a pandemic out there. How are you shielding your son? So I hear you when you talk about even looking at the food timetable.
Mhm.
And men, that's something we can do. You can actually look at the food timetable. There's nothing unmanly about that. Looking at it and being aware. But take it a step further. What are you doing? Because it is such a struggle for children. It's almost like they're so, when they're saying no to junk, it's so different. It's so different that it almost looks like they're going.
You're suffering them.
Yes. So
You're suffering them.
how old is your son and how are you doing?
He's
that?
6.
So he's aware. This is not like he's 2.
No,
he's aware. Okay.
He stays bored too. But then, beautiful thing, I am blessed. I'm not like I wouldn't say I have the realities of some men,
Okay.
because I'm blessed. My wife already weaned him from sugar early enough.
Wow.
Already.
Do you know how she did that?
Just don't give him. Simple. Just don't give him. There is no minimality. Don't give him. It doesn't take no Ribena. It doesn't take some of this. Never.
Wow.
For the first time, he has never tasted a fizzy drink. First ever. He has never.
No, because he's 6, so it means for 6 years.
Oh, never.
You've sustained this.
I came into, now that I'm taking care of him, I came into an already formed taste board for him. So in fact, if you just put something, in fact, he has a bitter, what do you call this? Sweet tooth. He has a bitter tooth. He likes, no, I don't know how is that possible. You give him a bitter, what do you call it? Something that an adult will take. I'm like, this is, just takes it and like, okay. I don't, like, how do you do that? I don't know how he generated that, but then he has that. So it's easy for us. We just sent him to school the other day, and then they say, they put in the list, you have to buy a pack of Ribena, you have to buy a pack of I don't know if we're right to mention brands.
We all know them.
And all that. So I said, see, he's not going to take it. They said you have to buy it. I just bought tea, what we call the tea, the Nestle tea and all that, and I sent to them. 2 weeks afterwards, I said, how is he doing with that? He said he doesn't take it. I'm like, have a nice day. So I just wasted my money to buy that now. So you have to give it to another child. Sorry. I said, no, sorry. Thank you, contribute to that child, but I don't. I know he doesn't. He's not gonna. So it's almost a good reality that I'm.
So you're not having to even.
No stress. No stress.
You know, there's a revelation that came to me recently about manna. Manna, the food that was given to the children of Israel in the wilderness. People complained about it because they were used to Egyptian food. So they're like, we want cucumbers, we want leeks, we want garlics and all that. Why? Not because anything was wrong with manna, but because they had been exposed to something else. Now, it was not necessarily bad, but it was Egyptian food. It was not the right food. God needed to win them. And God started to talk to me. Think about the children born in the wilderness. They would never complain about manna.
Yeah, right.
Because they were not even exposed
to
the other foods before. So all they know is manna.
True that.
And that's what is happening with your son. He can't complain that, this is not sweet. Because there's some children that you literally give Zobo, for example, sweetened with fruits. And they'll say it's not sweet. Because they're competing with sugary drinks.
Yeah, right.
Yes, because their taste buds, it's called flavor learning. After you've exposed them to it for so long, that becomes their norm. So when you give them what is actually okay, they can. But your son, like the children born in the wilderness, he'll never have that. He'll never say, manna is so boring, or Zobo is so boring because he's never even tasted the other
The
sugary
other sugar
drinks.
thing.
So that's really powerful because sometimes, Raymond, a lot of men just believe that the way I love my child, as I'm coming
I
back,
see.
I just buy
I
this.
see.
You know, Children's Day, we just talked
Sentimental
about it.
drives. Yeah.
Yes, when we just pack all those things and we think this is love.
Mm.
And I think the Lord told me recently was, are we raising future leaders or future patients? Like, let that even sink.
Wow.
Because you're like, they're the leaders of tomorrow. Maybe you're just raising patients for tomorrow.
Hmm.
Because we're just loading them with
Hmm.
all kinds of sugar. And it's normal. Which brings me to look, recently my friend and I got together, Kenny, who's a pediatric dietitian, and she took us through 10 tests for kids that you want to take your kids through. So that if there's, especially if you've been giving your children sugar and junk, you know, Raymond, you were saying it that you had been like a sweet tooth, nothing. But later on, the doctors now started to see.
Yeah.
So you want to go take your children, because if we're exposing our children to so much sugar, we might as well expose them to the tests
I
too.
see that. I see that.
So I have that. We'll put the link in the description. You want to expose your kids to tests too. And then, like Raymond said, you start to re-diet. Men, you're learning today. Today is judgment day. You are learning, yes. So you cannot just take that information and say, you just, no, you can't throw it on that, because you're a gatekeeper too for your children,
True.
for your wife. And like Raymond said, after spending all the money that he spent, you don't have to spend all that money.
There has to be a way.
You can just learn from now. So Raymond, we were talking about, you know, how there's just a junk pandemic out there. Sometimes as a health coach, and I see all the sugar, all the things we get, like it's normal. Sometimes I actually get discouraged and I'm like, are we fighting a losing battle?
Mm.
It takes a lot. Like every time I see a friend of mine feeding their child junk, I feel so bad. I feel betrayed. I feel betrayed. I'm like, huh? Then I'm just like, why? Do you think we're fighting a winning battle or a losing battle? And just be honest. And how can we tip things to the side of victory? Please speak to men, because
All right, because first things first, the reality is not beautiful.
it's not.
Yeah, I recently walked through. Okay, given my story, the relative, the whole cancer concern. When I started just checking a few things, I said, okay, people are going. You walk into a cancer research center, cancer hospital, medical, award-winning West Africa. You walk into, and then the doctor has on his table a bottle of Coke, and he's telling a colleague, please get me your bottle. That one is almost down. He said, get me your Coke. Man, I have a lot of patients today, man. And I am there. It's not like a secret this thing. It's there. And I'm like, and this is my guy, or this is my guy. This is supposed to be my guy, advising, and this is painful. This is sad.
Yes.
It's everywhere. So what do you want to say to someone that is a junkie, so to say?
Yes.
That's the word actually.
Yeah.
So there's no way to paint it. What do you want to say? They're just looking at you. If my doctor, my certified consultant, is on fizzy drinks almost every other time in the name of I'm feeling down, I have a lot of patients today. What is he going to do? So you look at the situation around, you look at our country, you look at our climate, you look at the reality for some people, and you're like, at first, when I started, let me tell you the truth, when I started this journey and saying, okay, I'm going to ensure that is my family, I'm going to ensure that we try to go the healthy way. When I started, I thought it was expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Truly. Because when you go to the market and you select, I call it select buy, when you choose what you actually have to buy, you think, we have spent less if, at first it looked expensive, but the duration, the things you now learn to take, the frequency of how you have to go, I discovered, and that is immediate. I'm not even talking about the long run of being a healthy person year in, year out. Just not having to worry about certain things. You know that, in fact, if you feel somehow, it's not coming from what you took in. It's something else. So you're almost like a part doctor. You almost know your system. Like my son was puking the other day. I said, hey, what did he take the night before? He said, is this. I said, are you sure you didn't add this? What did you add to make that meal? They say, no. One of my aunts just bust. But I gave him this. I said, why not?
Wow.
I can guess. I can know, like, if he's puking this, if he's throwing up. Like, no. What did he take? I know he really does that. So you just see me diagnosing,
Wow.
from knowledge. So
That's good.
yeah, just to say that before then I would do this. My wife will be able to say, he does this. Let's take him to this. Let's take him to. We didn't take him to no doctor. I just said let him rest. Don't give him anything. Give him water. After a while, by noon, I said don't give him a lunch at his lunchtime. Take a bit. Let his system.
Dr. Raymond.
No, just serve. Let his system settle. After a while, they gave him. He was fine totally. No drug, nothing.
And you didn't even need to rush him to
Nothing.
the hospital.
Nobody's rushing nowhere. That is a
No.
regular situation whereby I would have gotten a call in for where, like, we're taking Ariel to this.
hospital.
I'm like, okay, what again? He's running temperature. He's throwing up. Like, he didn't do nothing. This is recent. This is like 3 weeks ago. This is recently.
Wow.
So we didn't do nothing. In fact, the nanny was literally shocked. Like, wow. I said, yeah, you'll be fine. By evening, it was fine. He's resumed his timetable for food again. Like, everybody's good. So, but if you, first of all, start the war, like start winning the battle within your sphere.
Yes.
As much as you can, spread.
Mm.
Don't be discouraged because you don't have control over those other people's diet and timetable. Because
Talk
you're
to
going
me.
to see, I used to like this guy on YouTube,
Talk to me.
that this trainer that goes to throw away the junk from his.
I'm about to
he
do
will
that.
be watching them. He'll be watching them. They didn't know he watching them. He just enters the restaurant and says,
Oh,
what
yes,
are you eating now? What are you?
yes,
And
I've
he hits
seen
it out. He used to make me
I've
laugh.
seen
But
it.
then, it just tells me how hurtful it can be.
Yes.
When you're
it's
training,
betrayal.
you come, really
I feel
betrayed.
betrayed.
All right, so but then that's about it. I think start from your sphere of influence.
That's very powerful
Start.
because you have control over your family.
True that.
So while you just keep building that arc of wellness in your home,
Mhm.
and then little by little just spread.
Yes.
One person here, one person
Mhm.
there, and all that.
Mhm.
Remember, you said something I want to sort of dumb down on. So because you were very knowledgeable about what your son eats, you're in the know. Once something went wrong, you didn't panic.
No.
You just went for information.
Straight up.
What happened? You could audit the situation.
Mhm.
You were not like, let's just go to the hospital.
No,
because that's
no.
what a lot of brothers would do.
Straight up.
The moment they just say
spend.
anything, let's go to the hospital. So you're telling me now, the more knowledgeable we are,
Oh, definitely.
the better equipped
Yes.
we are to
take
deal
care
with
of-
these
yes.
situations.
Yes, please.
How was it for you transitioning to taking care of? Because you knew. So it's not like you knew things about your son. So as you transition to taking care of him alone, how was that transition? And how would you talk to men who just don't know anything about their children? They just leave everything for the woman.
True that. Let me give you will it be? I don't know if it's a sad story, but it's just a realistic. Something that happened. We started from I came back. I am present. My son loves me, knows me. I'm a present father.
I think that's the word I wanted to say. You're a present father.
Okay.
You know,
Yes.
you know your child. You know about his academics. You know about his food, such that when one thing went wrong, you could tell.
You know where that.
You're a
I had
present
to
father.
pry actually. That situation. I had to pry for some minutes. I had to pry.
Yes, now.
The nanny was saying, no, this is what I said. Okay, are you sure? I looked at the PO. I'm like, this thing is not, there is something wrong,
Wow.
Then my aunt said, oh yeah, but I added, he ate something as an aside, not the main meal. You just gave him. I said, okay, that is it. So what do? Give him water, let him relax, let him play, let him calm. After a while, it was great. The boy was playing again and all that. So,
You're telling us the sad story.
Oh yes. I didn't realize, I was not conscious. I was not present for a while. I knew you have a boy and you come back, you play, you hug him, you do everything. You dedicate Sundays or whatever day you dedicate Saturdays.
Please, I'm eyeing the men that think it's just about playing and dedicating Sunday.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So, but I was not. If truly I was a hospital gang.
Oh, okay. The moment you see anything, we just run to the
I
hospital.
didn't have to see. What's it called? What's it called? I say, where is he? Right now, so I'm talking to me. Where is
from
he?
the school.
Wherever he is, please.
Hospital.
Hospital straight, first of all, and all that. But truly it took me 2 dimensions of reality. The first one is expenditure. Like, this is too, are we going to live like this? It's just 6. Like, well, every other time is hospital. We can't live like this. That's the first. Expenditure, too much expenditure. I like to audit how I spend,
Yes.
why I'm spending
Yes.
that much for that thing. That's one. Secondly, are you going to, this stage of his life is where you bond with him forever. Once he becomes 18, the time slims out, or the bonding possibilities slims out, depending on who you are, your personality, and where you are in your journey of life and all that. So I said, this is the time. I need to know. I need to know everything. And I have a special son, all right? I didn't know. So truly, one of the times I took my wife's phone to research to check something, and then I just saw heavy level research has been doing. I was like,
Oh.
oh my God. I felt
Wow.
guilt
Wow.
wash over me. I'm like, oh, I've not tried, but I saw several screen launches of researches in Dubai, in London, in different organizations. I'm like, oh boy, no, this is not it. This is not just one son. What if you have truth? In fact, accountability as a father.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
In fact, for the sake of accountability, you have to know.
Yes.
All right. If not for anything, you have to know for sake. So I just said, okay, no, we have to double down on this. And I started researching on my own, started checking in. So let's checking how he behaves. When he eats, I sit down, I just look at how he eats, what he eats, and all that. Just started intentionally. You have to create time. I shut down some calls, shut down some events. As being someone in the performing arts, Sunday is outdoor. Sunday is outdoor. Weekends generally is outdoor. I had to shut down. Right now, it's been Sunday is family. In fact, I just registered him from swimming classes. I have to be, I told myself I'm the one taking him to swimming class on Saturday and Sunday. However that's going to happen, it's going to happen.
Wow.
You have to shut down events. You have to cancel meetings. You have to slim down.
Wow.
I have to do that. So you just have to be, may you not be a present father after a harsh reality.
Oh, wow.
It's a prayer. It's a prayer. May you not become a present father after a very harsh reality. Maybe something. Sometimes it can be death.
Wow.
May you not be that.
And I read that. I read Wendy Ologe, and I'm sure we know Wendy Ologe. She's a parenting coach, and she talked about it, how so the woman had sadly passed on, and the man was so confused because he didn't know anything about his children. He knew nothing. And just like you said with your wife, she had been researching and you saw it. That's how his wife. So his wife was in her academy. So they had to take people from the academy to go to the house. He didn't know anything. He didn't know anything about immunization, about card, he knew nothing. So he was not only dealing with the loss of his wife, he was also dealing with the fact that he knew nothing about his children. So I like what you say. May we not become present after a harsh reality, because we can actually do it together.
Yes.
We should.
We should actually. That should be.
We should do it together. We should do it together. I have 2 last questions for you.
Please.
So, what practical ways can men support the women? And I want you to talk about it in terms of not just you, but maybe things you've seen, because you're social. So yes, you're social. You connect with men. And then when you go to visit a family that has kids, you cannot go empty-handed.
I noticed.
I
noticed. Actually, it was not my reality. It took a bit of time to notice that. No. Like, I just started like, it's a place I'm supposed to call me something.
You are supposed to, sir. So what? Because people just very mindlessly pick up junk and just give the children. So what should we give the kids? But first, what practical ways can the men support the women at home?
That's a very great question. 2 things. First, and I pray all men would listen to this. I usually say, this is one of my passive lines to young men. I say, think like a farmer. Think like a farmer. Then, especially if you're married, think like a farmer. Think in terms of seasons. As a man, there are going to be several seasons in your home. Your wife would be experiencing most of these seasons more than you, so to say. All right. Sometimes, all right, given the body anatomy and all of that, the whole women. So you have to think there are the seasons where she just gave birth. She will need help. There are the seasons where she's pregnant. There are the seasons where your child is a child, an infant, and will need hand holding up until maybe 4, 5, 6.
Yes.
When like you literally have to, somebody has to be there by them. You can't leave the kitchen. You have to make your furnitures very curvy, nothing sharp.
Yes.
There's a whole lot. You have to think in terms of seasons. If you don't understand the seasons of your home, what is going to be happening is that you'll be hit, you'll be reactive.
Yes.
They'll be calling you every time. Something just happened. Junior just fell. Kichi just hit. Like, you would think it's a curse, but you're not responding. You're not proactive about the season that your family is coming into. And then you didn't act, and then you're responding. You spend more, you will cry more.
Yes.
Literally sometimes. All right? Because you're not thinking in terms of seasons. There are seasons where the child's come. There's season when your wife just needs you to be there. One of the things that happened to me when I was 18 or when I was growing up, I went to live with my aunt. She made me do everything, all the chores, name them, wash plate, fetch water from ground floor to first floor.
Hey God.
That's the only source of water sometimes. So you have to fetch constantly, wash bales of clothes every Saturday.
Hey
God. As a guy, all right, I thought that was the most rigorous season of my destiny. All right, until when I got married. One of my wife's love language was help.
Acts of service.
I didn't know. So I could wash anything. I could wash the plate. I do it. My wife doesn't like to do some of those things. She has her strength. Her strength outweigh those chores. In fact, so she doesn't like to do it. She can do it, of course, if it's necessary to, but she doesn't like to do it. But I do it as joy. As in, I do it and I don't even think about it. I can wash, I can sweep, I can do anything if I have the time. I do it. So it was good combination for us when she just discovered that I do these things like joyful. Like I'm the same, just play airport, wash all the plates, clean the kitchen. And I don't do one. If I finish washing plates, I want to clean the mop, I want to clean out the raise the sound up. I want to just do everything at once. She's like, wow. Oh, I am married. She used to say that. She say, I am married. But then it's not every man's reality. But then if you think like a farmer, if you think in terms of seasons, all right, there are seasons to invest time. There are seasons when you invest money.
Yes.
All right. It's not every time. In times, for example, it got to a point in time in my family, I had to say, okay, it's time to invest money in getting a nanny. Regardless, we have to get a nanny. My wife was like, no, I did not need story. I said, no, it's time to invest in getting a nanny. All right. So we had to invest in that. So know when to invest time, know when to invest money, know when to invest counsel, when to advise.
Yeah.
For example, that thing you were saying about looking at the timetable, the food timetable, it doesn't take you 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Just look at the food timetable and ask 1, 2, 3, 4 questions. In fact, that's where to start.
Yes.
I think, men, that is where to start. Just look at the food time. In fact, some people don't have food timetables. They don't know when to cook.
Yes.
So, yes. Some people don't. They just cook. Today we're eating. Let's go and eat pizza today. Let's go out today. Or this Sunday, I'm tired. As you're coming from church or anywhere you're coming from, let's just branch into an eatery and eat. And everybody eats, stays there for an hour or two, and then come back. So, but there's no timetable. It saves you, helps your budget, saves you, it helps you. Yeah, health concerns and helps you. So think like a farmer. Secondly, ask your wife, ask your kid, what help do they need? Sometimes you're rushing out. You are rushing, and it became a point of duty for me. I'm going out. Once I'm going to have a schedule, man. Everything was wait. I'm rushing. I'm putting. She's just like, man. I always. Sometimes I've gone out the door. I rush back, go to the room or go to her room and say, babe, what do you need? Is there anything that you need this morning or now? She said, you're going out now. What can you do? Like, I'm just asking. But that's asking, that ability to remember that, hey, she would need help. Or is there something you need to buy while you're coming out? That's irregular. Yes. That's irregular. I don't just buy what you like. I text her and say, what?
That's good. That's good. You don't just buy, you ask her. Especially if she has
ask. Think like a family.
So speaking of buy, what do you then buy when you're going to visit a family with kids? You have to take something.
So first of all, I learned that I will not do well with edibles. I'm sorry. I'm still learning to buy edibles when I'm going. I don't know what I see. I enter a supermarket. I don't know what to buy for. I don't know what they like. I don't know what. Man, just buy something else. It's slightly more expensive, but then just buy something else they would like to something be education, something that would last, something a book or something.
That's
Something
good.
that's usually what I have resolved to do. But over time, I will. You can't go wrong with health meals.
Yes.
That's a good thing. If you buy a healthy meal, you can't say maybe they don't take bread, they don't take type of bread. No, if you buy a healthy one, they will take it. Yeah, they will, except they have made a pact with
Yeah.
a life of struggle.
Yeah, but I hear you when you talk about it doesn't always have to be edibles, because I think that's where our heads go to every time we're visiting a family with kids. You just want to buy edibles, and remember that your edibles is not really what they need
I
to
noticed.
eat that day.
I noticed.
They're actually okay.
I noticed.
So that biscuits and that drink you're buying, you didn't do. They're not hungry. And it just requires a bit of thinking. As you
Yes,
see,
yes, true.
you then see other things. Oh my goodness, this has been amazing. We're going to move on to Bolaji, but I want to thank you, Raymond, for being here, for
pleasure.
sharing. I actually got more than I thought, because I didn't even know how deep you were into this.
I just started though. Don't let my head show. Man. I just started.
Really, this will be very helpful for men, especially men who are really ready to do better. And like you said, first of all, you come to a knowledge, then you must start to re-diet. You must start to change the diet. And then next, we'll start to see results. We start to see healing. Because many people are walking about with sickness.
Yes. A million years to that. A million years to that.
So you can't just be eating and saying, my family is okay. My children, they're okay now.
Okay.
Bro. And you're not leaving it to the women again. Remember, please look into the camera and tell your fellow brothers, bro, build with heart too.
Bro, build with heart too.
Oh my goodness. What an incredible session with a bro. If I hope, man, you were doing your ear like this, because it was I feel like it's so mind shifting, culture shifting, how men can come alongside and build with the woman. Because remember what I said, when couples build together, families survive the storm, families survive the rain. So from Raymond, we are moving to our second bro build with her guests, and that is no other than my husband, Barrister Bolaji Olojo. Please introduce yourself to the people.
Hi, everyone. My name is Bolaji Olojo. I'm a lawyer. I'm working in the oil and gas sector. I'm happy to be here.
You know, I did not give a profile, so you have to tell us more. Tell us about yourself. Tell us about your childhood. No lie. Tell us about your childhood. Different.
I think I had the most amazing childhood, right?
If you say
all right. Yeah. So, childhood experience. I grew up in several parts of the country. But the most I could remember is my growing up days in Ibadan, where I had my primary school, a Baptist primary school, then went to Loyola College, and then to Oshogbo for my senior secondary school, a Catholic school as well, and then back to Ibadan, the University of Ibadan, where I studied law, and then to Enugu. I mean, I've moved around a bit, the north, the south, the east, and eventually found myself getting married from the east as well to this beautiful damsel, our host. So it's a pleasure to be here indeed.
Okay, I'm going to start right from moving around a bit, because while you moved around a bit with your childhood, you also move around a lot in your adulthood. And see, we women were concerned when you move around like this. Because if you're in my house, I can control what you're eating. But if you're moving around a bit, how do you stay disciplined when there's nobody? When because when you move around, when you're in hotels a lot, there's buffet. Because I know that, I'm not going to say whether you're disciplined or not, but I know who you are. So talk to men who are in your shoes, because you're in the corporate world, like for real. Yet somehow you still manage to build. So tell the men how to go about it.
It's a bit of a tough question, I must say, especially if you get to, like I said, move around, as I do. And again, not just do I move around, I also get the privilege of staying in some of the best hotels in town, like anywhere I find myself, And of course, that's one of the key features of these hotels, is their special delicacies, their cuisines, their buffet options and all of that. So yeah, and the temptation is there. But what do I do? Um, so because I have this notion of, I already have this background from the house, of the right choices to make. I try to stay as disciplined as possible in my choice of, meals. Um, Again, there are cheat days, as we always would say, days where you're like, man, I'm gonna have to take this cake or this chocolate and the likes. But for the most part of my travels, I try to be very selective, and because I'm also not um, so much of an eater. Most times I get to probably just have a very decent breakfast and something very light during the day, and that's all. For most part of the time, I don't do dinner. You know, so maybe that's just the balance I try to strike. And of course, the the change in the taste bud is another thing you need to look at. So if you've had this consistency in eating healthy, sometimes having to eat unhealthy now becomes the anomaly to your taste bud. Um, but what you get majorly with people is that you have the unhealthy choices as the normal, while the healthy choices, taste abnormal to their boards. So for me, I think there's a bit of some history because we've done this consistently in the house. I mean, I think we've been on 5 years with no seasoning, no cubes, and all of that. So that's been quite helpful. The other thing I also do is to try to burn the calories. Beyond my movement, I'm also a very active person. In terms of work, in terms of physical work as well. Working in the office and the like. So I try to do all of these things, especially when I know that I've had a good dose of junk in any of my trips. Yeah, basically that's what I do.
So if I was going to put that together, I would say that even though you're staying in these places where you have access to all kinds of food, a lot of them unhealthy, there's just a discipline about knowing that you don't have to eat it all. It's not, it doesn't end there. And then you want to also balance that by keeping an active lifestyle. You're moving around, you're working, you're going to the gym when you can,
Absolutely.
and all that. Okay, so within our home, I brought in changes that are sometimes just, almost unreasonable, because I'll come and I'll say, we're no more doing this, we're no more eating this, we're no more going here, we're no more. And then somehow you have gone with the flow. You have supported. You have not, in fact, you have not just been passive, like, okay, I have seen an active support. And there are a lot of women who complain about that. Like, not only is my husband not supporting the changes I want to bring, he's actually even frustrating it. So maybe he's going out and buying a lot of junk for the kids. And we didn't start out like this because we didn't know this much before. I was the first person to see the light. And then as I'll tell you, no, we're not buying this for the children. We're not doing this. Why do you listen to me? And how can women present themselves in a way that their husbands will listen to them?
Okay, I mean, it's such a very beautiful question. So maybe I should just start on a relatively lighter note. I mean, perhaps one of the things I thought about is I'd rather spend my time and resources, having a healthy home than spend my time in the hospital.
That's good.
With kids, because whichever way we look at it, you would definitely have to spend your time and resources somewhere.
Yes.
So it's either you're spending it at home with them,
Yeah.
and of course in good health, or you're spending it in the hospital. If any of my children is in the hospital, that's what comes to a stop.
Yeah.
Everything stalls until that child gets out of the sick bed. So I was able to identify quickly that you were doing this with passion, and you were doing it with a lot of knowledge. It was a lot easier for me to support because I felt like, I mean, the end goal is for everyone to be healthy. Why would then take a position where that would be anti that outcome? And we all know there's increased awareness with respect to feeding and the food choices we make, and you having to come down with that light. Of course, I must also confess it wasn't an easy buy-in, as you would imagine. I mean, for someone like me that grew up in Ibadan, we had all the amala joints back then. Growing up from UI, going to Sky Bank, going to this and all of that, and of course, I mean, part of the reasons we really liked such food or meals rather, was because of, you know, the unique seasoning and the taste,
Yeah.
you know, it have. And then one day you came up and said, we're not using cubes, and forgotten that thing. I mean, I always joke around it and say turmeric or something.
Turmeric.
Something like that, you know. But yeah, there were times, you know, it tasted really funny, you know, just for the sake of a better word. But again, like we always say, the end justifies the means. So with the end in sight and view for me, it was easier for me to support you. I mean, sometimes you would take a bite and then it was a bite on some chunk of substitutes, you know, that you
Yeah.
were using, and then it just tastes extremely bitter. And I'm like, God, what is this? But at the end of the day, again, I'd rather eat those, you know, and stay healthy than have this momentary pleasure of, you know, 15, 20 minutes of health, seemingly unhealthy meals, and then end up in the hospital for the next 2 weeks. And I know you were also doing that for our kids. And I mean, for us, for me, at the end of the day, these are choices, you know, that you have made, you know, to ensure that our family stays healthy. And for me, I'm totally in for such.
Yeah, and just to even bring more context to that, and this is something for wives and even for husbands, when you start to, so for example, you want to take away stock cubes from your food, it's a hard transition. And really, tomorrow we're going into Etiha's Wellness Kitchen and we are cooking cube free. I'm going to take you through 5 hours of cooking healthy, yummy, delicious, cube free food. So make sure you join us tomorrow. Now, when you're transitioning, when I was transitioning, it was in 2020. You are trying many things.
Yeah.
You hear turmeric. You will not know that turmeric is a very proud spice.
I
You just
agree.
need a little, and the shoulder will just be high. You now put one big spoon of, and turmeric, if you put a lot, it becomes bitter.
Mm.
You will see black seed in the market, all kinds of things that they are telling you, pack all these things and put. So that period was a transitioning period for my family, and many things were done wrongly for me.
Absolutely.
But my husband was patient with that. There are times he was telling me, can you be putting small seasoning cubes? Like, don't remove it completely. Let us transition small.
Absolutely.
But the good thing is that he was patient. And men, you want to be patient. Like he said, you have the end goal in mind. It's not going to last forever. I mean, yes, you have to give your feedback too. But don't just suddenly say, I'm not eating this again, or you stop eating at home. That's something you don't want to do. Now, okay, babe, let's talk about this. When you travel, and you know me, you know, recently we celebrated Children's Day, and every time I see like a proliferation of junk with kids, I feel so betrayed.
Yeah.
I feel like, upon everything I'm shouting, they're still giving their children this rubbish and all that. So sometimes I can feel like this is are we losing this battle? Are we winning this? Are we ever going to win this battle? There was something Raymond said. Raymond said, it's okay to start from your home. That's where you have the most control.
Absolutely.
Then you can gradually, start to go out there. So now, what are some ways, really practical ways, the men can help the women win the battle inside their home and build this arc of wellness? Really practical ways for you. And I'm asking you because you interact with a lot of families. You see how you interact with a lot of men, more like, especially in terms of work, and you see how there's just junk everywhere. So I want your opinion first. Do you think that this battle is ever going to be won? And then, while there's such a craziness out there, how can men help in this locus of control that they have to build an arc of wellness?
Okay, so thanks again. So for me, I think information is key. I mean, some people say information is power. You know, I was working yesterday and I had a feed pop up on my screen, and it was just saying something around a new discovery of diabetes. I think they call it type 5
Hey, God.
diabetes, and I was like, oh, let me read up on this. And, I saw that it's also a unique kind of diabetes that is now associated with malnutrition, malnourishment,
okay.
more so. So that again brings to fore the fact that information is powerful. When you know what junks, can do to your children, can do to your family, the devastating effect it can have, then you would definitely need to sit up and fight it and join the battle. what can we do differently? I would say that one, we need to be very deliberate um, in getting knowledge.
Yeah.
Gone are those days when wealth used to be associated with junks and all of those things. I mean, some people are still living in the past. That's the truth, which is why you feel that if you're going to visit a family, you need to travel, come with a bag of chocolates and all of those things. I mean, things are changing. So, and I think it's just an advice for our men. Let's not live in the past. These things are not associated with wealth anymore. I mean, you have the children of the poor being, sick and unhealthy these days. You have the children of the rich being, sick and unhealthy as well. So let's first of all understand that let's understand the devastating effect of junks in our bodies. When we do that, then we'll be careful in making the sort of choices that we need to make. Secondly is, for me, I also feel that it's easier when you train your children from childhood with the right choices. I mean, for some of us, it might have proven a bit, more difficult.
Yes.
Because for about 20, 25, 30, years of our lives, we had formed the culture of what to eat and what not to eat and co. So having to transition at that age, into this new lifestyle, it could be a bit of a challenge. But for us, for younger couples especially, I would say, let's start raising that awareness, with our kids. Let's form their taste buds with the right choices. And for fathers, I would encourage them. There are many other options you could do. I mean, for example, Children's Day celebration for this year, you would see that a lot of these eateries and, supermarkets are filled with people trying to buy, stuff and that, because they've associated, Children's Day with, eating and drinking and whining. But I think there are also healthier choices we can also make. You can take them to a playground to have fun. You can even decide that, okay, when you come back from work again on Children's Day, you'd go downstairs with your kids and play football, and you just give them that memorable, experience. It does not necessarily have to be food and junk. And if it has to be food, we can also be deliberate in choosing healthy or making healthy choices.
So I have two more questions for you. One is relatively shorter, which is, because you mentioned that when you go to visit a family that has children, we just want to pack. We just go and we pick the first chocolate and biscuit and drinks that we see. What do you typically do when you go and visit a family with kids? Because you would not go empty-handed. So what do you do?
Again, there are healthier options, like I said. Unfortunately for me, most of the times I probably get to see people during work trips and the likes. I have limited options. So a couple of times I probably would just, go with maybe the healthier form of biscuits. I mean, I don't want to advertise for any company now. So there are some that are, that have less sugar, that are generally, deemed as healthy. But in Lagos, when I'm at home, more often than not, I think I always just encourage, the possibility of having to go somewhere together with them instead of having to buy, and give to them. Because the truth of the matter is, for those things that are also very healthy, they don't last long. So you need to consume them so quickly. So except, you have control of your time. You're living from your house to that person's house, or you already know, what points to stop, where to stop, and then get something for them. Then you are able to make some healthier alternatives. But more often than not, I would always encourage that we just go out together.
With them. Okay, I hear you. And then the final question is, how can a woman do it wrong when she's trying to bring some very good changes? Almost like, what's the wrong way to do a right thing, so that women will not do that way? Something that will just make the man be like, I'm not going to do it, so that women can learn from it.
So again, it's both biblical and also sensible. Because every man, the average man deserves and demands respect. You can't force your way through change with a man. So you need to still be able to, first of all, sell the idea, or sell your ideas in a way that you can have the man's buy-in.
How?
So you need to be you need to come with information, and you need to come with compelling, knowledge, knowledge that can translate to something that the man can see and feel. You don't come with half-baked information, because these things require not just emotional support, but deliberate, actions.
Yes.
When you are saying that, yes, I know that I'm not comfortable, but I know that the change is for my own good, or it's for the good of the family. So you had better come with the right set of information.
Yes.
You don't want to just wake up and say, guy, we're not going to take cubes, or we're no pizza again in this house, or no chocolates or sweets for the children and co. I mean, these are easy things for any guy to just stop at any supermarket, pick, and then give to the kids. So you need to probably have that conversation first with your spouse to say, babe, this is what I think. This is what I have seen.
Yeah.
These are things that, are out there in the public domain. Would you take your time to read through it? I mean, we want to raise our children in a healthy way.
Yeah.
Let us do this. But again, the second thing now comes to my mind. You cannot rush this process.
Yes.
So you need to take it, one step at a time. I recall how you introduced that no cubes, and, not only did you take it one meal per time, I think we started with probably like soup and then stew, and then you moved to those other, kind of meals. So you need to take it, slowly and one step at a time, trying to introduce something we call change management
That's good.
in most organizations, especially in the oil and gas. When you want to introduce a change, we need to see the steps you would take in introducing this change. That's what we call management of change, MOC. Some people call it change management. I think you need to be deliberate in doing that when you want to introduce a change. The third thing I would advise is let there be a ready alternative. So let's not just take out something completely without providing an alternative to fill that. So for example, when you took out cubes, you had the other, local seasonings and co to substitute that. There might be situations where there are no alternatives, especially when you're doing a firm stop, that, is understandable. But where there are alternatives, like for example, if you're not going to use salt for whatever reason in your home, let there be something, that you can use to substitute. And just with the knowledge, with the management of change, and with the LD alternative, I'm sure the man would see reasons, with the woman.
And so interestingly, Raymond said the same thing, just that knowledge, really important, because men are logical.
Yeah.
So once we have information and we can pass it on to them and they see it. In fact, something else he said was that once a man knows and he's convinced of it, he can be the person that can even enforce it even more. Because he can be the person that say, we are no more eating this in this house. And when a man says it, it's almost like, that is the law. Speaking of the law, thank you so much to the law. Thank you so much to the law, Bolaji Aloja, for being here. We want you to do one last thing. We want you to look at the camera and say, bro, build with her too.
I can't shout this enough, okay, but I'll say it as much as I can. Bro, build with her too. It's important you do. Thank you.
Thank you.